Welcome to TCS NQT Rapid Revision Series. Today is the last day for your preparation, last night for your preparation. So we are going to revise all the topics or all the numericals and important logical questions in a single go. What I have done is that I have chosen some of the previous year's TCS NQT question and I have tried to solve them and make you understand them properly, and you can expect these kinds of questions to come tomorrow in your examination. Let us start with today's lesson. So this is our first question. Let's look into our first question. What is the fourth proportion of 0.006, 1.1 and 6 by 25? So let us first understand what they mean when they are saying fourth proportion of. Fourth proportion means we have to find 0.006 is to 1.2 is 6 by 25 is to x, and we have to find this fourth proportion value. We have to find the value for x. Now let's see how we can actually find this one. So for this particular question, there is a very specific formula that you have to use. Let us learn about that formula. Let us write it in a general form right now. Let us think that the value of 0.006 is A, value of 1.1, 1.2 is B, this is C, and this is D. Okay. And these following four numbers actually follow a particular pattern. What is that pattern? A into D, that is A multiplied by D is equal to B multiplied by C. So this will be A into C. So this is again an important formula. And from this one, you can easily guess what should be our final result or final formula. So we can write 0.006 multiplied by x is equal to 1.2 multiplied by 6 by 25. So now I'm not going to do any kind of raw calculation. What I'm going to do is that I'm just going to write the values like this. 6 divided by 1000 multiplied by x is equal to 1 2 divided by 0 multiplied by 6 divided by 25. Once I have done with this, I will eliminate this 0, this 0, and this 6 and this 6 will be eliminated, and we are left with 12 and 12, and in here I'm left with this. So now this will be 25 and this will be your 4. Okay. So what we are left with, we are left with 12 here and this one. So we are going to simply write this formula in the next step. This is going to be x by 4 is equal to 12, if I'm not wrong. And in the next step, this will be x equal to 12 into 4, that is 48. So the final value for x, or the fourth proportional of this particular terms, are 48, and this will be our correct result. So I hope you have understood this one. Let us go to the next question. Today we are going to solve the questions in a very much faster rate than we used to do in the previous classes. If you find anywhere that you are not able to understand the concept properly, you can pause the video, you can rewind this video and try to understand it again. For better practice, whenever I introduce a question, you may pause the video, look into the question, try to solve the question on your own, and then look into my answer. So, anyways, let us go to this question. Which of the following has the least value? So, what is the particular way to do this one? You can actually find root 75, root 74, and then find this value, and root 74, root 73, then find this value, so on and so forth. So this is going to take a lot of time. So now let us see how we can easily do this one. We can write 75 minus 74 multiplied by root over 75 plus root over 74 divided by root over 75 plus root over 74. So this is your process of rationalization. And if we rationalize this one, this is a minus b multiplied by a plus b. So what do we know is that a minus b multiplied by a plus b gives us a square minus b square. So in this particular case, this will be 75 root over 75 square is 75 minus root over 74 square is 74. So that is going to give us 1 in the numerator. So this will be 1 here. And in the denominator, it will be 75 plus 74. So this is for option number 1, and you can easily guess the rest of the answer for option B, C, and D. So we can write 1 by root over 74 plus root over 78, that is your option A. Then you can write 1 by root over 77 plus root over 76, that is your option C. And for option D, you can write root over 76 plus root over 75. Okay, so now once you have written all this thing, for option number C, you can see, or you can say that the denominator is highest. Denominator is highest. All the other terms have same numerator. Only for option number C, we have the highest denominator. And we know that the number having the greatest denominator is the smallest. So the correct option for this least value question is option number C. So instead of finding the value of each of the terms, I have rationalized it. Rationalization made all the numerators equal. Once all the numerators were equal to each other, I have found the highest denominator, and the highest denominator gave us the lowest or least value. So now let us go to the next question. A retailer purchase. So I have selected this question because this question is little bit complicated to understand. The solution is easy, but the question is little bit difficult to understand. So let us see what they are saying. Retailer purchased 25 identical toys for a price of P rupees. For this particular statement, remember, the retailer has purchased 25 toys together, and all these 25 toys cost him P rupees. Not each of the toys were of P rupees, but 25 identical toys were of total of P rupees. Sold some of them for rupees P. Out this 25 toys, he sold X of the toys at P rupees. Total P rupees. If we calculated the profit as 8% with the selling price as the base price instead of cost price, how many did he sell? So you have to find the value of X here. Now let us think. If the cost, if the cost of 25 identical toys is P rupees, then cost of one toy is equal to P by 25 rupees. Cost of 25 identical toys is P. So cost of one toy is equal to P by 25. Let it be your first equation or your first relation. So now he has sold X number of toys. So the total CP will be equal to he has sold X number of toys and cost of each toy is P by 25. So the total CP of X toys will be Px by 25. This is your equation number 2. And the total SP, he has sold some of them for rupees X only, rupees P only. So the SP is P. Now they have told you to calculate the profit, but you have to take the SP as a base rather than taking CP as a base. So you can rewrite this equation in this particular format: SP minus CP divided by SP. Why? Because they are telling us to take SP as the base, and into 100 gives us the profit, that is your 8%. So instead of writing 8 by 100, we are just going to write as 8, because when we multiply this term into 100, that gives us 8 only. So now we are done this one, let us replace the values. So SP is P, CP is Px by 25, and it is divided by SP, which is again P, and this is multiplied by 100. This is multiplied by 100, and this gives us 8. So now what we can write is that we can take P common from the numerator and denominator. This P will be deducted, this P will be deducted, and this P will be deducted. So what we have is, we have 25 minus X divided by 25. So there is nothing in the denominator, so this will be just 25 into 100 is equal to 8. And from this particular relationship, you have to find the value for X. So this 25 cancels this 100 and the result is 4. This 4 cancels this thing, so the result is 2. So what is our next step? In the next step, we can write 25 minus X is equal to 2. And when we have this, we can take X on this side and we can take 2 on this side. So we will have 25 minus 2 is equal to X. So the end result is X is equal to 23. So this person has sold 23 toys at total of P rupees, and his total profit was of 8%. So I hope this question was clear to you. So the correct option is option number D, that is 23. The formula and the concepts applied in this particular question was easy, but question was very difficult to understand. So understand this question again, try this on your own, and check if you're able to reach to this correct and same solution as me or not. So now let us go to the next question. Okay, so what we have is, what is the real value of 0.00314 plus 0.000198, and that is cube root value. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to add these two numbers. So I will write 0.000314, and I will add it with 0.000198. So 8 plus 4 is 12, carry 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11, carry 1, and this is 512. and this is 0.000. So this is the addition of these two numbers. Once I have added these two numbers, let us write this number like this. We have 512, and in the denominator we know that we are 6 places behind, so it will be 10 to the power 6, and we have to find the cube root of this number. So now the question becomes very easy. So now we know that 512 512 means 8 cube. So this will be 8 cube divided by 10. This will be 10 square cube. So as in simplified equation, we can write 8 by 10 square whole cube. And this is cube root, this is cube root, and this is cube root. Once I have written this formula like this, it is very easy to understand. This is cube. So it is very easy to understand. So the end result is 8 by 10 square. So that gives us 0.08. This is our final result. That is our option number B. Do not try to solve this question using brute force. First add it and try to find patterns into the question. Look for the patterns into the question, and I'm sure there will be some pattern, because they are not going to give you any question that requires for you to do raw calculation. Now let us go to another question. What will be the value should the highest quantity in the data set, this is our data set, be replaced so the mean and median becomes equal? As because we are talking about median here, it is very much important that you first arrange this data in some order. You can arrange the data in descending order, you can arrange the data in ascending order, that's your choice. But for the sake of this question, I'm going to arrange this data in ascending order. And if we arrange this data in ascending order, we are going to get 14, and then we are going to get 18, then we are going to get 26, then we are going to get 32, then we are going to get 35, then 38, then 52, and 65. Now that we are done with this, let us try to understand the question. With what value should the highest quantity in the data? So what is the highest quantity in the data? Highest quantity of the data is 65. Let me some other color. Highest data in this data set is 65, and I have to remove this data, or I have to replace this data with some other value so that the mean and the median becomes equal. And what do we know about median? The median is not affected by the outliers or the extreme cases. So we can easily find median of this data set. So the median of the data set will be, so there are like even numbers of data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So median will be average of 32 and 35. What is the average of 32 and 35? We have 32, then add it with 35, then divide it by 2, and that gives us 33.5. This is the median of the data set. Now what do we know? We have to find the mean of the data. And what is the mean of the data? Mean of the data will be 14 plus 18 plus 26 plus 32 plus 35 plus 38 plus 30 plus 52, and instead of 65 I have to replace it with some other data. So I will be writing here x, and we have to divide with number of data set we have. So there are total of 8 data, so I'm going to write 8. And we know that we have to make the mean and the median equal. So this will be equal to 33.5. Okay, so what we can write? We can write, or we can assume that this whole part is your P. So in the next step, we can write that P plus X equal to 33.5 multiplied by 8, and the final value for X will be 33.5 multiplied by 8 minus P. So this will be your final value, and we can calculate the value for P. So if you calculate the value for P, you are going to get, let me take out my calculator. So you will get, I am just going to do it in a single stroke. So 33.5 into 8 minus P. And if we do this, we are going to get the final result as, let me try it on, 33.5 multiplied by 8 minus 14 plus 18 plus 26 plus 32 plus 35 plus 38 plus 52, and that gives us 53. So the end result, so this is the value for X. So 65 should be replaced with 53 so that the mean and median of this particular data set becomes equal to each other. Now let us go to another question. This is a question from work, time and work. Six men are, a work is assigned to six men and 12 women, and they could complete it in 3 days. And there is an important formula that you should remember. The formula is number of men, or the number of person working, efficiency of each of the worker into the time taken is equal to work done. Always remember that this is an important formula. Let me revise this formula again. We have M cross E into T. And what this means? M means number of men. E means the total efficiency, or efficiency of each of the men, and T is the total time taken. And if we take a product of these three terms, we are going to get the total work done. So from this first statement, let us try to find the total work done. We have six men, and let us assume that the efficiency of each of the men is M. So 6 into M plus 12 into W, that is the efficiency of each of the women. So this is the work done in single day, and we know that to complete this particular work, they have to work for total 3 days, and this is your total work done, whatever this is. So this is your equation number one. Let us go through this equation again. We have six men. So six men contribute 6 into M amount of efficiency, and there are 12 women. So they contribute 12 into W amount of efficiency. So this is the total amount of work done in a single day, and they had worked for 3 days. So I multiplied by 3, and so we are getting the total work done. Now, it was also observed that together they can do 7 times as much work a man and a woman can do. So this 6M plus 12W is equal to 7 times of what man and a woman can do together. In how many days would women have completed the work? So now let us try to do something. From this equation, let us try to find the ratio of the efficiency of a man and a woman. So in the next step, we can write 6M plus 12W is equal to 7M plus 7W. and we are going to take m on this side, and we are going to take w on this side, so as to keep this equation in the positive format. So we have w 12w minus 7w is equal to 7m minus 6m. Now if we simplify this one, this is 5w and this is m. So m is equal to 5w. This is an important relationship. So let us mark it as 2. Now using this equation, let us find the total work that was done. So instead of writing 6m, we are going to write 6 into 5w plus 12w, and this was multiplied by 3, and this is your total work done. So 6 into 5w is 30w plus 12w multiplied by 3, and that gives us 42w. 42 into 3 into w. This was your total work done. And now they are telling us how many days 14 women would take to do the same work. So now let us imagine that we have 14 women into W, and this will be your number of days, let it be N, and that will be equal to the 42 into 3 into W, because this is your total work done. And now from this particular equation, we can cancel out W from both of this side. So W is cancelled from here, W is cancelled from here. And in the next step, I will write 14 into N equal to 42 into 3. Instead of writing 14, okay, anyways, so this will be 2 and this will be 6, and 7 6 to 42, this will be 2, and this will be 1, and this will be 3. So n is equal to 9. So total 9 days will be taken by 14 women to complete this work, and this is our correct answer. So I hope you have understood this one. I have found the relationship of the work done taking women as a marker, because we have to find the how many days 14 women would have done or would have taken to do the work. If it was men, then I would have taken men as a marker for the work done. So it totally depends on the question. Okay. So now let us go to the next one. This is an interesting question. HCF of 180 and 432 is expressed as 180m plus 432n, where m and n are integers. Now, mind you, m and n are integers. That means the values for m and n can either be positive or can either be negative. They are not saying that these are positive integers. They are saying that m and n are integers. And integers means the values for m and the values for n can be positive, can be negative. And then you have to tell me or tell the answer sheet what is the difference between m and n. So you have to find the final value of m minus n. So now let us start with the question. What will be the HCF of 180 and 42? So the first step I'm going to perform is the prime factorization of 180. So the prime factorization of 180 starts with me writing 9 cross 2 into 10. 9 can be written as your 3 square, 2 can be written as 2, and 10 can be written as 5 into 2. So this gives us 2 square into 3 square into 5. This is the prime factorization of 180. So now let us check for 432. 432 can be written as 2 into 216. 216 can be written as 2 cross 2 into 108. And what do we know? We know that 2 square is equal to 2 square multiplied by 108 means it is 12 into 9, and 12 means 2 square into 3 into 4, so 3 into 2 square into 3 square. So in the end that gives us 2 square into 2 square means 2 to the power 4, and 3 into 3 square is 3 cube. So we have 180 that is expressed as 2 square into 3 square into 5, and we have 432 that is expressed as 2 to the power 4 into 3 cube. What is HCF? HCF means we have to find the greatest common factor between these two numbers. And the common factor between these two numbers will be 2 square into 3 square. And that gives us 4 into 9. That means this is 36. If I'm not wrong, this is 36. Now, what do we know is that the HCF of these two numbers can be expressed as 180m plus 432. So we can write 36 equal to 180m plus 430n. So now let us check if 36 can divide 180 or not. So 180 divided by 36 gives us 5. So on the left hand side, I can write 5 into 36m and check we can divide 432 with 36 or not. So we will have 432 divided by 36. So we will have 12 into 36n. And on the left hand side, we already have 36. So we are going to uh, we are going to direct 36 from both the left hand side and right hand side. This is eliminated, and this is eliminated, and this is eliminated. So the final equation that we are left with is 1. Do not write 0 here. Never, never do this mistake. We have divided the left hand side and we have divided the right hand side. So you are going to get 1 on the left hand side rather than 0. Do not try or do not write 0 by mistake here. Your question will be wrong. So 1 is equal to 5m plus 12n. Now we have to find such values. We have to find such values for m and n, which we can put in this equation and get 1. Okay. So you can easily say that if we write m is equal to 5, so this will become your 25, and if n is equal to minus 2, then this will become your 24, and 25 minus 24 is 1. So the value of m is 5 and the value for n is minus 2. And what we can do is that they have told us to find the difference between m and n. So we can write m 5 minus minus 2, that will give us 5 plus 2, that will give us 7. So the addition, or sorry, the difference between m and n is 7. So this is our correct result. So most of the students assume that if they are saying integers, they think they're telling about positive integers only. But remember that integer means your both positive numbers and your negative numbers as well. So consider both of the spectrum. Now that we are done with this, let us go to the another question. This question is very easy, but I chose this question because there was an important and unknown term that you are going to see. that is mean proportional. MP is between this and this. So we have to find the MP. And what do we mean by mean proportional? If we have to find the mean proportional of A and B, so MP of A and B is root over A into B. So now let us try this one. This is our 1 and this is our 2. So what is the value of MP1? The value for MP1 is root over 2 by 7 into 32 by 343. This is 32, not 3 square. Now, what we know is that 32 means 8 into 4. 8 means 2 cube and 4 means 2 square. So 32 means 2 to the power 5 and multiplied it by 2. So this is going to give us 2 to the power 6 divided by 343 is 7 cube. 7 cube into 7 4 will give us 7 cube into 7 will give us 7 to the power of 4, and this equation can be simply written as 2 cube by 7 square whole square and root over. So that will give us 2 cube by 7 square. Fine, keep it like this. You don't need to simplify it as of now. So this is your MP number 1. Now let us try MP number 2. So that is 2 into 1 by 5 into 1000. So that will be 2 and this will be 500. So this will be root over 1 by 25 into 100, and 25 is 5 square and 100 is 10 square. So we will have 1 by 5 into 10. This is your 2. Now we have to find the MPs of these MPs. So the final MP will be root over 2 cube divided by 7 square into 5 into 10. So we can also write it as 2 square divided by 7 square into 5 into 5 root over. So this can be written as 2 by 7 into 5 whole square and square root. So that gives us 2 by 35, and this is our final result, that is option number C. So I you were like clear about this question. I haven't used the calculator because for these questions they usually give these numbers in a particular pattern. So using calculator in this particular question means you're wasting precious time and you are like neglecting the precision of the question. So instead of getting 2 by 35, you will get your answer in some points, and then you have to again check those answers according to the options. So this is going to be a very big hassle for you. So instead of getting into the brute force calculation technique, try to find out the patterns among the numbers. Work with these patterns, and I am sure all the questions that are given in your question paper, all the questions that will be given tomorrow in the examination, all the questions are going to have some kind of pattern in them. Try to understand that hidden pattern. And remember whatever I told you. Try to memorize the squares of numbers from 1 to 20. Try to memorize the cube of all the numbers from 1 to 20. And this is going to help you a lot when it comes to solve these kinds of questions. Now let us go to question number 9. So I think that we have covered all the important previous year's question from your numerical ability question. Now we are gradually sliding into this logical ability question. So what we have here is that we have five objects. What are those five objects? Five objects are P, Q, R, S, T. So we have P, we have Q, we have R, we have S, and we have T. And there are some informations given, and according to this information and using this information, you have to say which among the five is heaviest of all. So let us try to summarize all the information that we have. R is twice as heavy as T, so I can write R is equal to 2T. Next is S is 1.5 times heavy as Q. That means S is equal to 1.5 times. That is 1 by half of Q. And if we simplify it, we can write S is equal to 3Q by 2. So this is your equation number 1. This is your equation number 2. Now that we have done with this, let us go to the statement number 3. Q and R weigh together as much as S and T together. So we can write Q plus R is equal to S plus T. This is your equation number 3. P and S together are 1.5 times as heavy as Q and T together. So we can write P plus S is equal to 3 by 2 Q plus T. This is the all information that I have given, and I have to find which one is the heaviest of these five. So now let us think. In this equation we have Q, in this equation we have Q, and in this equation also we have Q. So let us target that I'm going to find all the values in respect to Q. So this will be Q. I will find P with respect to Q. I will find R with respect to Q. And S is already 3Q by 2. So that is our 0.75Q. So we have to find P, R, and T with respect to Q. And if we find P, R, and T with respect to Q, we can easily guess, or you can usually say which one of them is the heaviest. So now let us think about this equation. We have Q plus R is equal to S plus T. Fine. What is Q? Q is Q only, and your S is 3Q by 2, and we know that R is equal to 2T. So instead of R, I'm going to write here 2T, and this T will become T. So as to keep this equation in positive respect, we have to bring T on the left hand side, and we have to take Q on the right hand side. So this is going to give us T is equal to Q by 2. So we have found T with respect to Q. So this is Q by 2. So now that we have found out this one, let us try with R. And we know that R is equal to 2T, and T is Q by 2. So that will be 2 into Q by 2. 2 will be cancelled. So we are going to be left with Q. So this will be Q. Okay. So now we are left with only P here. So let's see how we can find P. We know that P plus S is equal to 3 by 2 Q plus T. We can use this equation to find P. So we are going to just write P. Instead of S, we are going to write 3Q by 2, and then 3 by 2. Instead of Q, it's Q only, and instead of P, we are going to write Q by 2. Let us try to simplify this one. What we can do is that we can like take 2, you can write 2P, and then we can write 3q, and then we can write 3, and then we can write q plus q by 2. So in the next step, I can easily write 2p plus 3q is equal to, this will be 3 into 3q by 2. So that will be 2p is equal to 9q by 2 minus 6q by 2. So this is 3q. I can write 3q as 6q by 2. So that will give us 2p is equal to 3q by 2, and p will be equal to 3q by 4. So this will be your final result for p. So p will be 3 by 4. So P will be 3q by 4. Okay. So now let us assume one thing. What we are going to assume? Let us assume that Q is 20 kg. Fine. So if Q is 20 kg, then P will be 3 into 20 by 4. So this will be 3 into 5. That will be 15 kg. It is no need to assume this one. You can easily guess which one is the heaviest. I just want to make it more easy for you to understand. So Q will be 20 and this will be 20. 3q by 2 will be 3 into 10. So this will be your 30 kg, and this will be your 7, no, sorry, this will be your 10 kg. So P is of 15 kg, Q is of 20 kg, R is of 20 kg, S is of 30 kg, and T is of 10 kg. So out of P, Q, R, S, and T, S is heaviest of all. So the correct result is S. So I hope this question was very enjoyable to you. Let us try another question of the same thing. So there are 5 rods K, L, M, N, O. The weight of O, again, there are 5 rods. We can say that we have K, we have L, we have M, and we have N, and we have O. Weight of O is twice of L. So O is equal to 2L. The weight of L is equal to K and M together. So L is equal to K plus M. Weight of M is twice of K, that is M is equal to 2K. Weight of N is 3 times the weight of M. So N is equal to 3M. If the weight of N is 90 kg, what will be the weight of O? They haven't told us to find the weights of everybody. They have just told us to find the weight of O, and they have given the weight of N. So somehow we have to find a function in the form of N and O. That way we can put the value of N and we can get the value for O that is asked in the question. And let us see how we can find the value for your O and N together. Okay, so what we can do is that instead of writing M here, we have O. So L can be replaced by O by 2 here is equal to K can be replaced by M. So M is equal to 2K. So K is equal to M by 2. And what do we know? We know that M is equal to N by 3. So this is N by 6. K is N by 6. So instead of writing N K here, I'm going to write N by 6 here, plus M is N by 3. Fine. So this is our value. So I'm not going to calculate it anything. I'm just going to take 2 on the other side. So we will have O equal to 2 into N by 6 plus N by 3. I'm not going to calculate anything because I know that 90 can be divided by 60 and 90 can be divided by 3 also. So instead of doing any complicated calculations, I'm going to do 20. Instead of n, I'm going to write 90 by 60, and 90 divided by 60 gives us 15. So this will be 15, and 90 divided by 3 gives us 30. 90 divided by 3 gives us 30. So this will be 45 into 2, and 45 into 2 is 90 kg. So this will be your answer. That means that weight of N and weight of O is equal to each other, and this should be your final result. Understood? I'm not going to find the values of every one of the rods that are given here. They are telling me to find the value of N and a value of O only. So they have given me the value for N and they are telling me to find the value for O. So I'm going to find a function that can be expressed as N and O in the terms of and O, and then we can put the value for N and then we can find the value for O. Let us look into this question. Which is the odd term of the following series? You have to find which one of them is odd. So let us try. I will write this in like giving them space in between so that I can work around with this. So we have CMQ, and then we have FPT, then I have JTX, then I have OYC, then I have UFI. So let us think. C, then F, that means this is C plus 3. F to J, that means it is plus 4. And from J to O, this is plus 5. And from O to U, this is plus 6. Okay, so I will just write this properly here. This is not 4, this is okay. So we have plus 3, then plus 4, then plus 5, then plus 6. Now let us look into M here. So M to P, that is again plus 3. Then P to T, this is again your plus 4. Then T to Y, T to Y is your plus 5. And Y to F is your plus 7. So something looks weird out here. So now let us try the next and the last one. That is Q to T is plus 3. Then T to X is plus 4. And X to C is plus 5. And C to I is your plus 6. So everything looks in pattern. This is plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, plus 6. And for the first letter as well, this is plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, and plus 6. But for the middle letter, it is plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, and suddenly it is plus 7. So UFI doesn't seem right and does not seem fit in this particular situation. So the correct result or the odd term out of these 5 terms is UFI. So instead of UFI, the last word should have been UEI. This should have been the last letter, last word rather. Now let us go to another question. So this is like group wise thing. So they are saying that Nihal, Rohit, Malini, and Harbhajan participate in any one of the 5 activities. Any one of the 5 activities. Activities are quiz, singing, dance, debate, mimicry. So now let us first write the names of the participants that we have. We have Nehal, and then we have Iqbal, and then you have Rohit, and then we have Malini, and then we have Harbhajan. Nehal, Iqbal, Rohit, Malini, and Harbhajan. Let us look into the information that is given here. Ronit participates in singing. So Ronit participates in singing. So singing goes here, and singing is eliminated from the viable options. Harbhajan does not participate in debate or mimicry. Harbhajan does not participate in debate and mimicry. That means Harbhajan participate in quiz or dance. So let us write quiz and dance here. Malini does not participate in mimicry. So that means Malini can participate in quiz, Malini can participate in dance, and Malini can participate in debate. So we are done with this. Iqbal participates in quiz. So Iqbal is participating in quiz. Now you can see here one thing. If Iqbal participates in quiz, that means Malini cannot participate in quiz and Harbhajan cannot participate in quiz. So Harbhajan is participating in dance. And if Harbhajan is participating in dance, Malini cannot participate in dance. So Iqbal is participating in quiz, Rohit is participating in singing, Malini is participating in debate, Harbhajan is participating in dance, and only one thing is left, that is your mimicry. So this is mimicry. Fine. So this is mimicry, quiz, singing, debate, and dance. So now let us look into the question. So the question is, who is participating in debate? Malini is participating in debate. So this question was all about writing all the information that is given in a particular and systematic fashion. And once you have done with this, then you can start writing this question. So now look into this question. There is a simple easy Venn diagram given. The number in the Venn diagram indicates the number of person or people watching TV programs. The diagram is drawn after surveying 150 persons in a population of 12,000 people. So 12,000 people is represented by 150 people. That means we can cancel out 0, 1000, 1200, and that can be summarized as 80. So each person in this particular Venn diagram represents 80 people in the actual population. So now that we are done with this, now let us look into the question. How many persons or people can be expected? So they are telling me how many persons can be expected to watch at least two TV programs, at least two TV programs. So 24 people are watching movies and news. So they are watching two programs. 16 people are watching movies and songs. So they are also watching two programs. Uh, two people, 10 people are watching news and songs. So they are also watching two programs. And four people are watching three programs. So they are watching at least two, no? So we are also going to add this one. So we are getting a final result. If we add everyone, so we will get, let's see, we will get 24 plus 16 plus 10 plus 4, so we are going to get 54. So 54 people in this survey are watching at least 2 TV programs. And we know that each single person, each single person is representing 80 people. So in total, we can expect 54 into 80 people to watch at least 2 programs. That gives us 54 into 80, that gives us 4,320. 4,320. So the final result is 4,320. These many peoples are expected to watch at least 2 TV programs. This is an expectation. It might be correct, it might not be correct. Let us go to question number 14 here. This is an interesting question. P plus R means P is son of R. This is information number 1. P minus R means P is wife of R. This is your information number 2. And P cross R means P is father of R. This is your information number 3. Okay. So now let us check here. What we have here is P plus R means P is son of R. P minus R means P is wife of R, and P cross R means P is the father of R. So then which of the following is true? So we have to decipher this particular relationship. We have A plus B, that means A is son of R. A is son of R. So we will write A and we are writing here B, as because they are from 2 different generations, I'm writing one above another. So A is son of R, so I will put an arrow here, and in this arrow I'm going to write here son. Then B is wife of Q. So B is wife of Q. So A is a male and B is a female. B is wife, so Q will be male, and Q cross S. Cross means Q is father of S. Now S can be your male, S can be your female. There is no particular indication whether S is male or female, so we will leave it as such only. So now the question is, which one of the following is true? A is grandson of S, not possible, because A and S belongs to the same generation. S is uncle of A. S is uncle of A. Again, not possible. They are the same thing. A is brother of S. Yes, it is possible because A is male here. A is male here. So A will be brother of S. So this is your correct result. Okay. So now let us go to question number 15. A similar question is there. You have given a relationship equation, and out of this relationship equation, you have to find the relationship between B and D. That means how B is related to D. So now let us mark the important information that is given in the question. So P at the rate R means P is grandson of R. Like we are talking about 2 generations here. So this is information number 1. P dollar R means P is the brother of R. This is your second thing. And P hash R means P is mother of R. This is information 3. So now let us try with this. A at the rate B. A at the rate B. That means A, I'm going to take a longer marker now. A is grandson. of B. B is mother of C. Mother of C, and C is brother of, let me check here, C is brother of D. So C, brother of D. Fine. C is brother of D. So A and C, C is maternal uncle of A. So I will just write here maternal uncle. This is not asked in the question. I'm just doing it as a form of exercise. So C is maternal uncle of A, and B can be maternal aunt or maternal uncle because sex is not clearly indicative in the question. So now how B is related to D. So if B is mother of C and C is brother of D, that means B is also mother of D. So this is your correct answer. Okay. So seven friends, we have seven friends here. O, P, Q, R, S, T, and U are standing in a row. Q is to the right of U. So we have seven friends here. So I will make seven arrangements. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now we have left. This is your left hand side direction, and we have right. This is your right hand side direction. Okay. So Q is right of U. So Q is right of U. So that means U, Q. Clear? P is between T and S. So P is between T and S. So T and S, T and S. So S can come here, T can come here, or S can come here, T can come here. I'm not sure about this one. So this is for your second information. O is right of Q. O is right of Q. That is Q, O. And it is left of S. O is left of S. So S will come here. So if S will come here, P will come here, and T will come here. Fine. Now, U is between Q and R. U is between Q and R. So R is not here. So R will come here. U is between Q and R. So I will remove this one. So U cannot come in this position because it is already reserved for U or reserved for O. So U will come here and R will come here. So let us place all these friends in a row. So R will come here, U will come here, Q will come here, O will come here, S will come here, P will come here, and T will come here. So this is the arrangement of all the friends. Who is exactly in the middle of the row? So there are three people sitting here, and there are three people sitting here. So O is at the middle of the row. So I hope this question was understood by you. So now let us go to another question. Which option will replace the question mark? Okay, let's see here. If you look here carefully, all the numbers are occurring in pairs. So we have 3 and 22, and then we have 5 and 19, then we have 8 and 16, then we have 12 and 12, and the same thing will go for 17 and this unknown number. So now look, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8. I think you got this gist now. 8 plus 4 is 12, and 12 plus 5 is 17. So this thing. Now 21, 19. it is minus 2. 19, 16 is minus 3. 16, 12 is minus 4. And 12 minus 5 is 7. So the unknown number in the series will be 7. Let us go to the another question. A sum invested on simple interest grows to 22,500 and 25,500 in 7 years and 9 years respectively. What is the rate of percentage? What is the rate percentage of the interest? So let us assume that the principal amount is P. If the principal amount is P, so we have P plus P into rate of interest R into time is 7 years, and that gives us 22,500. This is your equation number 1. And from the second information, we can say that principal amount plus principal into R into 9 is equal to 25,500, and that is equation number 2. And from this two equation, we have to find the value of R. Okay, we don't need to find the value for P. So let us apply a trick here. Let us divide equation 1 and 2 with each other. So if we divide equation 1 and 2 with each other, we are going to get P plus P into R into 7 divided by P plus P into R into 9, and that gives us 22,500 divided by 25,500. So we can cancel out these two zeros, and we can take P common from both numerator and denominator, and we can cancel them out. So this is cancelled, this is cancelled, this is cancelled, and this is cancelled. So that gives us 1 plus 7R divided by 1 plus 9R, that gives us 225 divided by 255. Understood? So now that we have this one, let us try 15 into 15. 15 into 15 is 225. It is 15 squared. Again, it is very much important to remember all the squares of the numbers. And 255 is 15 into 17. So 15 will cancel this 15. So we are left with 1 plus 7R into 17 equal to 15 into 1 plus 9R. So that gives us 17 plus 17 into 7R is equal to 15 plus 15 into 9R. So as to keep this thing as a positive equation, we will take 15 here. So 17 minus 15 is 2, and that gives us 15 into 9R minus 17 into 7R. So this final equation is 2 is equal to 15 into 9 minus 17 into 7, that gives us 16. So that is equal to 16R. So that means R is equal to 2 by 16, that is equal to 1 by 8. Now, what is 1 by 8? R is 1 by 8. So if we convert 1 by 8 into percentage, that means it will be 1 by 8 into 100. And what we can do is that we can make it 1000, and in the denominator we can write 10 here, and we know that 8 and this is 125, and 125 divided by 10 gives us 12.5, that is 12.5. This is our rate of interest. So I hope this question was clear to you. So I have revised the important concepts of important questions from your TCS NQT syllabus. So I hope you have prepared well for this examination. Give your best tomorrow and you can do it. Don't worry. Okay, I know that you will excel in this examination. So you can get all the full materials at www.campusprep.com. We'll just change the color. So you can get all the materials at www.campusprep.com. You can also join the Telegram group in here, and you can communicate with me directly. You can also join our Facebook and Instagram page for regular updates. So that's it for today. In fact, this marks the end of the TCS NQT Cracker series. So if you feel that I should do any more placement questions and I should do any more placement series, please let me know in the comments below. So I will see you again shortly with a new series. So please let me know what the other series that we can do. So thank you, and a very, very thanks to everybody who are with me from the start of this journey. Thank you and have a nice day and all the best for your examination. Thank you. Bye bye.